They called me a monster, but the truth is, I was just a mother. My name is Madeline Bevan. I'm 91 years old, and I used to be a nurse. Well, a midwife, really. I helped deliver babies for most of my life. There's a quiet kind of joy in that work. You get to see life begin. You get to hold someone's first breath in your hands. I wasn't always like this. I know what I look like now. People stare. Children point. Some adults do too, but they pretend they don't. The truth is, I used to look normal, whatever that means. I had soft features, brown hair, a warm smile. At least, that's what my husband used to say. We were young when we met, me and Charles. He was a mechanic. Grease under his nails, always humming old songs while he worked. I fell for him because he looked at me like I was the only person in the room. We got married when I was 23, had our first baby at 24. By 30, we had 4 kids. Life was messy and loud and full. We had a tiny house, creaky stairs, one broken toaster that never worked right. But it was ours, and it was beautiful. I was in my mid-30s when the first headaches started. Sharp, deep aches that made it hard to think. Then came the changes. My jaw began to swell, my hands grew thick, my face didn't look like mine anymore. I didn't understand it. I thought maybe I was just tired. Stressed, maybe. Too much coffee, not enough sleep. But it got worse. The doctors ran some tests. One scan turned into 3. And finally, a word I had never heard before, acromegaly. A tumor on my pituitary gland, a flood of growth hormones, and no way to reverse what had already happened. I remember looking in the mirror one night after the kids went to bed. My reflection looked like a stranger. My eyes were still mine, but the rest. Swollen, coarse, strange. I reached up and touched my face, and for the first time in my life, I felt afraid of myself. Charles tried at first. He held me when I cried. He said it didn't matter, that love was more than skin. But I could see it, the way he stopped looking me in the eyes, the way he flinched, just slightly, when I touched his arm. In my early 40s, he left, said he needed space, said he couldn't take the pressure. But I knew what he meant. He couldn't take me anymore. After Charles left, the silence in the house was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. The kids were still small, 4 mouths to feed, 4 pairs of shoes to replace every few months. I went back to work, but it wasn't the same. Patients looked at me differently. Some were kind, most weren't. One woman took her baby and walked out of the clinic mid-visit, said I scared her child. Eventually, I was let go. They said the funding was cut, but I knew the real reason. Nobody wants to be comforted by a face. They don't understand. I tried everything, temp jobs, night shifts, scrubbing floors at the school where my daughter went. I sold furniture, my wedding ring, anything to keep the lights on. And then one day, someone approached me outside a grocery store. A man with a business card. He ran a traveling carnival. Said he was looking for unique acts. Said people paid to see what they couldn't explain. He offered me money, enough to cover rent, food, school supplies. I said no at first, then yes, 'cause mothers don't always get to choose what feels right. They do what keeps their kids alive. For a time, many years ago, I joined the show. People paid to stare, and I let them. I painted my lips red, wore a hat with feathers, stood under the sign that said the FaceTime forgot. I smiled for photos. I endured the whispers, but I never looked down, not once. Because while they saw a monster, I saw my children eating dinner. The years passed, the carnival faded like all things do. Fewer people came. The world moved on. I packed up my feathered hat, folded the dress I used to wear, and went home. Though by then, I didn't know where home was. The kids grew up. They became people I was proud of. Nurses, teachers, a mechanic just like their dad. They built lives of their own. They have children and grandchildren now. I never asked him to stay. I didn't want their love to feel like duty. I just hoped maybe they'd visit more often. But life pulls people forward, and sometimes it pulls them away from you. My phone rings on birthdays, sometimes, holidays too, if I'm lucky. The neighbors help me now and then, but the house stays quiet, the mailbox stays empty. Some nights, I sit at the kitchen table with an old photograph, one where I still look like myself. I try to remember what it felt like to be that woman, what her laugh sounded like, what it felt like to be touched without flinching. But the mirror doesn't lie. I'm not her anymore. I'm just a shadow of a mother the world never really saw. A few months ago, I found a letter tucked inside an old shoebox. It was from my youngest son. He must have written it years ago and never mailed it, and said, "Mom, I remember everything. The red lunchbox, the way you used to sing while folding laundry, how you gave up everything just to keep us warm. I used to be ashamed of how people stared at you, but I'm not anymore. I'm proud. I just didn't know how to say it. If you ever sing again, do it for you this time. Not for us, for you." I sat there holding that letter, hands trembling, eyes blurry, and I realized I had spent so many years being strong for everyone else. I'd forgotten how to feel something for myself. So tonight, at 91, this might be my last time on any stage. I'm not here to be pitied. I'm not here for a spotlight. I'm here because I want someone to hear this voice. Not the one the world mocked, but the one that survived. And if you're listening, if you're still out there, baby, this song is for you.
Used to sing you lullabies in a house with creaky stairs, folding clothes by candlelight while you slept without a care. But the mirror told a different tale as years began to show, and the world looked at me strange, like a face they'd never know. But I'm still your mother, child, through every tear and trial. Though the world forgot my name, I still sing, I still remain. feathers, smiled through pain, so you could eat, so you could play. A stranger to my own reflection, but love never fades away. I read your letter late one night. Your words became my light, so here I stand and sing again. Not for pity, not for fame, but for the child I love, for the voice that won't give up. Though the years have worn me thin, for you, my child, I sing.